Hey there YouTube, this is SzubsKin89 here, doing Formula Monarchs version 2. Updating my old build that I posted like 3 months ago. I'll admit it was bad. This deck is much better, it's much more consistent, a lot more controlling, it's just all in all better. You gotta remember, if you ever saw my old deck, it was pretty bad. You gotta remember, it was one of the first Formula Monarchs up. That's what, on YouTube. And it got 2K views, which isn't bad. But despite those views, no one visits my channel. I realize I don't post much, but at least subscribe, because I'm gonna be putting up some pretty cool deck profiles, like a lot of budget type decks, like budget Little City. I probably paid like $10 for all the cards except for my staples. And anyway, on to Formula Monarchs. They've been testing amazingly well against Machina, Blackwings, Legendary 6 Samurais. I actually win more often than I lose against my friend's build. It's the Xian build, where you just spam Xian first turn almost always. Still some OTK times. That's generally when I lose, when I don't have Fader. But anyway, on to the deck. 2 Lad, 28 beat stick, 2 tributes, cannot be special summoned. Negates a card when it's activated. It can negate up to 4 times, but generally I'll get 2 negations out of it, generating into a... That'll let me break even. But then when it's destroyed, I get a card from my graveyard back, which, so it replaces, which generally makes them at least a +1. If I can get more negations out of it, it's a +2. But, really, overall, really good card. 3 Caius. Best monarch in the game. He's dark. Darks are always good. Good for locomotion plays. Just the best monarch. 3 raizas. Raiza is Caius' right-hand man. Best used against slow decks. If your opponent sets a monster, Raiza spin it back. They're probably gonna set it again. So that really slows them down, and they lose their draw, which helps so they don't draw their outs. 2 mobius. Clear the path for more monarchs. This is generally the first if I have this monarch and any other monarch first turn, or second turn once I have the engine up, I'll generally drop Mobius first, get rid of any kind of monarchate, and then drop my other monarchs. Dark Dust Spirit, amazing recurring monarch, nukes field of all face-ups. You can also tribute set him, and when he's flipped, he still gets the nuke. So if you expect your opponent not to be able to run over his 18 defense, then I'd recommend setting him so he plays defensive, so he works as a blocker and then nuke. Because you just summon him, he comes back, and you leave yourself open unless you have Fader. Anyway, Dark Dust Spirit, really good, especially against the 6 Sams. Triple Fader. Necessary, especially with the 6 Sams, you need to stop OTKs. Also, just really good defense, amazing combos with Dark Dust Spirit. Opponent makes a OTK push, just drop Fader, then drop Dark Dust Spirit over it, and your opponent has to start back at square 1. And generally, you can win from there, unless you really have a shitty hand. 1 gorz, Super Fader. Generally, his 27 attack deters attacks just as well as Fader stops them. So, and plus his token generally be kind of large. It's like a little game you have to play. When are you going to drop gorz? Generally, opponents will always attack with their weakest monsters first, and then attack with their stronger monsters. Drop it on the stronger monster if you can afford the life points. Also, even if I drop him on a weaker monster, I can tribute him and his token for Lad, and then Lad can bring back gorz when it dies. Trago, I don't see many people running him for some reason. He's really, really good. Good beat stick. I can drop it. His requirements are a lot less stricter than Gorz's. It's just whenever I take battle damage, period. Like, they can run over undine, and I can drop tragoedia, which is sometimes I do that. Because first turn drop undine, I have 6 cards in hand at the end of the turn. Then opponent attacks directly, I can drop 3k wall tragoedia. So yeah. Speaking of undine's really good. I can send either treeborn or fishborg through her effect to search out controller. Controller's actually not half bad, because he has a lot of combos I'll get into later. But she's a +1. Amazing when I draw her in allure, because summon her, get controller, send treeborn, allure away controller for some real cards. So she'll generally just get run over the turn, so it doesn't really matter. She'll feel avarice later, generally. 2 swap frogs. Swap frog's really good because he's not dead once I have the engine set up, because he can bounce my own monarchs back to my hand, letting him reuse their effects. He can also bounce gorz, he can bounce gorz, trago, lad, and it's a little trick there with lad. His effect to bounce back a monster to your hand is a cost, and therefore cannot be negated by lad. You gotta know your lad rulings. That can make or break you when you run lad, or when you're playing against it. Sangan. Search out any piece of the engine I want, and if I already have the engine set up, I'll just search out either a swap or a battle fader to help defend myself, or to recycle my monarchs. I can also synchro with him out, so make a free cataster and then get a search. It's always good. 2 treeborns and a fishborg. These are the cards you want in the graveyard. That's why I run these undines, these swamp frogs, and because treeborn will just keep coming back to be tributed for monarchs, and then those monarchs will put in work. And that's all there is to it. Then 2 enemy genex controllers. Controller gets a lot of crap, and I'm not sure why. He's a 14 beat stick. I know, 14 beat stick. He's as strong as he can to get under bottomless, which is pretty useful actually. Level 3 tuner status makes him really good with enemy controller. Opponent has a level 4 monster. Enemy controller with treeborn in the standby, so you end up with their opponent's level 4 monster and treeborn. Summon controller, get under bottomless. Synchro into 8 star, usually probably Stardust, so that way I can negate that bottomless that I'm thinking is face down. So yeah. Foolish Burial adds consistency, helps get that missing piece into the graveyard. It's a spell card, so I can go like Swap Frog and then Foolish, so I'll have the entire engine set up first turn. 3 enemy controller. Absolutely amazing in the standby phase with Treeborn. Take control of opponent's monster by attributing Treeborn. Since it's still the standby phase, Treeborn will come back. So I have a Treeborn and opponent's monster. I can attribute them both for lad, or attribute that opponent's monster for a monarch, and then hit a back row maybe if I had mobius. Or I can just normal summon that dead genex controller I searched to turn into a level 8. So a lot of cool plays. Next up, Soul Exchange. Has a few advantages over enemy controller. Main thing is that you can hit face down, so a Book of Moon doesn't stop him. That's the main problem with enemy controller. The Book of Moon stops him cold. The other advantage, actually, really, that's the only advantage to Soul Exchange. His disadvantage is you lose your battle phase, which means you can't take advantage of most likely clear field with that 24 beat stick monarch that your opponent's probably going to destroy next turn. The other disadvantage is he doesn't really help out with synchroing, or it doesn't really help out with synchroing. I don't know, I'm calling it a hit, whatever. Pot of Avarice and Allure Darkness, my draw engine, or my draw power. Formula Synchron's the draw engine. Avarice recycles these Formula Synchrons if I ever do spam them. I'm usually fairly conservative on my Synchrons. I won't just spam them unless I'm missing an out or I need a monarch, or I already have a monarch on the field so I can synchro during your opponent's main phase. And Allure Darkness, I don't see why people don't run this. It's absolutely amazing. Get rid of genex controller, and I can dig for monarchs or the missing piece to my engine, to my Treeborn engine. So Allure really helps first turn if I'm missing the engine and just have monarchs. I'll occasionally have to remove a caius, but generally at that point I probably have 2 raizas and a caius or something in hand, and I'm like, I need Treeborn, otherwise I'm not gonna win. Avarice, it's not been testing so well. It's just because I generally always draw them really early, which hurts because it takes like my deck probably like 3-4 turns to become live. Even then, sometimes I'll have to be sending a Treeborn or Fishborg back into the deck. Generally a Treeborn because I probably have a Swap Frog in hand to get the other Treeborn back. 2 MST clears the back row. Try to hit bottomless. I like it for its versatility over extermination. Probably gonna side extermination. Cold Wave, broken card. It's probably gonna get banned. Clear works amazing with Mobius. Dark Hole, Dirt, Monster Reborn, Herp, and then Treacherous Trap Hole. 3+1. Gets old fast. Your opponent really catches on to Treacherous because I rarely set, and people who know me, it's just like, he just set a card. That's a Treacherous Trap Hole right there. I should probably only summon one monster, so he has to blow up his own treeborn to get it activated. So yeah, you gotta watch out for that. For people catching on to your Treacherous. Anyway, on with the extra deck. Reformal Synchron. I see some people only running 2. To that I say, honestly, you guys are rich. If you're really that pressed for extra deck space that you have to drop Formula Synchron to 2, you are a rich mofo. Catastor, level 5, really useful to sync out an Undine if she survives the turn, or sangan so I can get a search if I need it. Urquizus, space holder for Bryanak if I ever choose to buy it. Ancient Sacred Wyvern, placeholder for Goyo if I ever bother to get him. But for now, Ancient Sacred Wyvern combos pretty well with Formula Synchron, although I rarely get the 5 stars I need to bring him out. So yeah, Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon. Just sitting here until I get a Black Rose. Works well against Gravekeepers. Really about it. Good wall. Not really that necessary to the deck. Stardust, only running 1 space issues. But yeah, it's really good. I'll generally try to bring them out so that next turn I can go Shooting Star, which is so much fun. Because my opponent usually just flips out and say, how the hell am I supposed to destroy that thing? Unless they're good, then they know how to destroy it. Colossal Fighter, really mandatory to be run in just about any deck. Puts in work against Blackwings. My friend who's still getting used to Blackwings was silly enough to collude Colossal, and then I just ran over his Shura next turn. But anyway, yeah, Colossal's really good. Scrap Dragon, staple at 1 in just about any deck that can synchro. Turns Treeborns into destruction if need be. Plus, it's a good beat stick. Locomotion or Genex, something unique to Formula Monarchs generally. I don't know if regular Genex decks can use them, but whatever. It's level 9, so it's Genex controller plus either Caius or level 6 Trag, because it requires a Fiend non-tuner. But he's just really good. Take control of opponent's monster. It's 25 beat stick. The effect is permanent. It's non-targeting. It's just really good. Mistworm, usually don't use them that often. Occasionally useful if the opponent has a heavy back row and I have something that I just want to push for game for some reason. It's very rare that I'll do something like that. Maybe it's just to get some stuff off the field. Shooting Star, amazing. Auto win against Lightsworns actually. They really don't have the outs to Shooting Star off more often than not. He's just amazing. I usually don't bring him out though, just because it takes kind of a lot of resources to bring him out. Well, actually not too much, because usually Formula Synchron's free, but it's just time issues. I could be dropping monarchs instead of syncing for Formula sometimes. So yeah. And then 2 Chimera Tech, since I side Cybers and Machina is still rather heavy at my locals for some reason. But so yeah, and plus I don't really have anything better to run in their place. So yeah, this is my Formula Monarch deck. Hope you enjoyed it, and please comment, rate, subscribe to my channel, and check out my friend Unreal Spartan's channel. This is SzubsKin89. Peace out.